Okay. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Derek O'Shea Show. I hope you guys are having a freaking fantastic day. We're going to get into lots of news. This is the Derek O'Shea Show.
Welcome to the revolution.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the Derek O'Shea Show. Thank you guys for taking time to hang out with me. I hope you guys are having a freaking fantastic day. It's Friday, people. We're maxing, we're relaxing, we're having a good time. I think before we get into tonight's podcast, tonight's show, fix my camera first of all. I'm gonna get right into something I've kind of been thinking about. I think it's an important subject, something that can make us better as human beings, better as people. And kind of the temperament of what's going on in the world right now, especially with some of our politicians. Good God, they could use this. I'm going to go ahead and start off with this quote right here. All right, Jocko Willink. When a team takes ownership of its problems, the problem gets solved. It is true on the battlefield, it's true in business, and it's true in life. Let me shut this silly music off. When a team takes ownership of its problems, the problem gets solved. It's true on the battlefield, it's true in business, it's true in life. Taking ownership of your problems is paramount to being a better person, being a better human being, being a better adult in today's life. Our politicians constantly, all week long, have been shifting the blame to the other. It's Putin's fault. It's the oil company's fault. It's never their own fault. And I think I'm getting to the point where I'm just getting overly exhausted of how none of our politicians take any ownership to anything whatsoever. Inflation, it's transitory. It's due to the supply chain. Meat prices are going up. It's these meat companies that are so greedy. It's never on them. These oil prices are due to these companies holding us ransom after I've been talking crap about them all year long and telling them I'm going to get away from oil and we're going to do whatever it takes to go on green energy. And they go, okay, you know what? We'll see how that works out for you. And now we need you. What's going on? You're greedy. It's always the other. And my encouragement to you this Friday. I mean, even now that I'm thinking, even when we talked about the during COVID, why was COVID spiking? It's due to these unvaccinated people. It has nothing to do with any of my policies or anything. Honest and true conversation. And I think you're like me, where we're both getting exhausted from the "it's not me, it's you" push by politicians everywhere. And I know it's a very political thing. What politicians all do. They all want to push the blame on the other so they can stay in power, so they can continue to get reelected. But you and I are both human beings, and that's not a lesson to teach our kids. It's not a lesson to aspire to be like them. In fact, you should aspire to be the opposite. You should take ownership of your problems. You should be quick to say, you know what? I should do better in this situation. I should strive to be a better human being. I should strive to be better. It's my fault. Even if it's not your fault, taking it on yourself and saying, you know what? It's my fault regardless of whose fault it is. Some of my favorite leaders in my life have always taken ownership. Even when I've been a part of the problem, even when I contributed to what happened in the business, and the manager and the leader says, you know what, that's on me. And I know deep down in my heart, I'm like, actually, that's also on me too, because once somebody starts to take ownership, it makes you also want to take ownership. Makes you also want to be better. Makes you also want to be a human being. Makes you want to be a part of the team. But in politics, it's always the other. It's the other's fault. It's Trump's fault. It's Putin's fault. It's the supply chain's fault. And then corporations push back and say it's the politicians' fault, it's red tape's fault. And then the cycle goes around and around. And so it gets to the point where you and I become a little agitated at each other because one side takes one side of the coin and the other side takes the other side of the coin. And we look at each other and we're like, it's their fault. It's their fault. No, it's their fault. Oh, you're not getting it because you're an idiot. You're not getting this because you're an idiot. What if it's both? So my encouragement to you this Friday before we get into all the clips of those of you that are joining me live is to take a little ownership in your life. Be willing to be proven wrong. Be willing to admit fault so that you can be a better person. Don't be like Joe Biden. Don't be like Nancy Pelosi, our politicians. The ones in power. Hey, you didn't talk about Trump. Trump's not president right now. So I'm talking about Biden. As always, with my podcast, I'm happy to talk about whoever's in power. And there are no sacred cows on my podcast, if you will. And if you think there's a sacred cow, call me out so I can do better. But that's my thoughts for the week, is that as we watch our politicians just change the narrative so it fits their agenda, so it doesn't make them look bad. We're doing everything we can to make everything better for you guys. It's their fault. Don't be like these politicians. Strive to take ownership in your life. Thank you. All right, let's hang out, get in the chat. Let me know how you're doing. I hope you guys are having a freaking fantastic day. I'm currently live on Rumble, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch. I'm all over the place. So if you guys are chatting with me and I am responding to something that you don't see, I'm not going crazy. It's because somebody else asked me a question on a different platform. But the first clip of the day we're going to get into is this. Could be a spicy one. You never know. Adidas puts a new ad out that we all should watch for some reason. It was spread around everywhere. It's a viral video, so let's get into it right now.
It's impossible to take hold of the world spotlight overnight. Create your own uniform. Be a cover model, a powerful athlete, or compete as a trans woman. Impossible? No. I'm possible.
Okay, I thought that was going to be way more intense and controversial. I don't care. I'm so sick of these corporations and their grandstanding so that you go, this is the company I can support because it fits with my values. I don't care how it feels in my body, though. God, it's just so annoying. I just don't care. I get so tired of corporations thinking they need to be the moral police of the land. I don't know about you. Let's check to see on some live news before I get into some more stories to see what's going on.
Waiting a kidney transplant. It took Dubravina 24 hours to bring Sophia and 14 other very sick children by train from Kyiv to Lviv. And that's Bunny Kuzo, who also traveled from Kyiv. The Western Ukrainian Specialized Children's Medical Center is overrun. It is the triage hub for the country. Dr. Olena Kuzo.
All right, let's get into this story because I think this story is huge because I think when the mainstream corporate media, especially some of these bigger channels like NBC News, ABC News, CBS News, and stuff like that, when they start talking about inflation, that's when you know it's a problem. They're not just peddling information. So let's watch this clip together and see a live reaction.
Today, President Biden responding, saying he's fighting to bring down prices, blaming inflation in large part on what he calls Putin's price hike. But prices surged last month almost entirely before Russia invaded Ukraine.
Whoa. This is NBC News coming out and saying this. That's when you know you're starting to lose the narrative battle. The propaganda push is that even NBC News is like, some of these facts are irrefutable, and you keep peddling propaganda. We got to cut through. We can't just be liars all the time for you.
And inflation has been soaring above 5% since last May. Republicans blasting the president.
Gas is over $4 a gallon. And what does Joe
Blast. God, I hate those words.
Biden say? He said it's all blamed on Russia. Energy prices have been going up dramatically from the day he took office.
Exactly.
Today, President
Again, this administration and previous, much like many politicians, is constantly pushing the blame on the other. The minute Putin started to invade Ukraine, they had a scapegoat, a solution to their problems that they could fit a narrative that everyone can just agree with. It's Putin's fault for our bad leadership, period. All right, next clip. Let's see what's going on with some of the news.
Another devastated mother describing her final conversation with her only son. NBC's Matt Bradley was there and has their stories.
After 2 weeks of war, Ukraine is burying its dead. The number of slain soldiers is unknown so far, but today the city of Lviv buried 3 of them. 39-year-old senior soldier Andrei Stefanishin, 58-year-old Sergeant Dmitro Kabakov, and Senior Lieutenant Taras Duduk, who was only 25 and close to marrying his girlfriend Tatiana. These men were killed in the early days of fighting in the southern city of Kherson. Relatives told us the Russians held their remains for nearly 2 weeks, releasing them only days ago. Andrei Stefanishin's son Vitaly is just a few months shy of fighting age.
Once you turn 18, you're planning to pick up a gun.
He says he is. A decision he says he made on his own.
Many of the soldiers buried here were killed in 2014, the last time Russia invaded. Now, Ukrainians...
What's up, guys? Get in the chat. Tell me how you doing on this Friday evening. I have a ton of clips loaded up that we're going to go through together, but I'm checking to see live news currently live right now.
Mother, maybe
see if
this
anything
is our last
breaking.
conversation. They were his last words. I was shocked. I said, "You are my only one. Please take care of yourself. I don't have anyone else."
Having sacrificed so much, many here expect more from the West.
What do you have to say to the American people?
Please, just help us to close the sky. Our children are dying in this war.
It's been said that only the dead have seen the end of war, but for Ukraine's living, this latest war is only beginning.
And Matt Bradley joins us now from Lviv. Matt, it is so heartbreaking to watch as these families grieve their loved ones, but sadly, so many others may never get that chance.
That's right. I mean, and these families were almost like that. You know, it took them 2 weeks, nearly 2 weeks.
All right, see what else going on. Some of this.
Civilians prepare.
Okay, nothing worth watching. I got Indian news because that's...
to stay claimed from government.
Because it looks incredible.
Post-Congress poll debate kill G23 leaders to intensify reform chorus at CWC meet.
Okay. Sky News. Looks like they're just talking about...
I will say this.
To the south coast, and you realise seeing this that travel and migration by water, that's river or canal, is such a part of Bangladesh's story. But what's changed over the last 20 or 30 years is that people don't know what is going to greet them at the other end.
Okay, let's get into some of these clips that I've loaded up. I'm curious what this guy has to say. Let's see. Trevor Noah. Here's Trevor Noah talking about the American astronaut potentially being left out, which is very interesting.
But please do not get your hopes up. Not only did Russia not agree to end the war, it wouldn't even admit that it started a war. Yeah, Russia's foreign minister, Sergei Lavrov, was asked if they planned to invade any other countries, and his answer was, quote, "We are not planning to attack other countries, and we did not attack Ukraine," end quote, which is obviously a lie. Right? And it's also not reassuring for the rest of Europe. Yeah, now we are not attacking Poland. Now we are not attacking Paris. Now we are not taking over the world. What are you guys complaining about, huh? And by the way, just by the way, if Lavrov is denying that Russia is attacking Ukraine, then what's he attending peace talks for, huh? What, he wants Ukraine to stop blowing up Russian missiles with their maternity wards? Get the out of here, man. So for now, the war is unfortunately continuing. And not only is the war continuing, it's even spilling over into space.
This morning, the International Space Station in political crosshairs as Russia retaliates against American sanctions. The head of the Russian Space Agency, Dmitry Rogozin, posting this video on social media.
I immediately thought of this when the war kind of has been going on for a while about the International Space Station of like, I can't only imagine some of the awkwardness going on up there of, and maybe it's not awkward. Maybe they're just like, our governments are idiots.
Threatening to abandon American astronaut Mark Vande Hei at the station. He's supposed to return home on a Russian ship in just 3 weeks. Rogozin also making an ominous threat that without Russian help to move the ISS away from space junk, the ISS would crash into America or other countries.
Wow, this is wild. Russia is so mad about sanctions that it's threatening to abandon an American astronaut in space and allow the International Space Station to crash into Earth. And I mean, this is obviously a horrible threat to make.
At the same time, you can kind of understand why they're so mad at the sanctions. They've been very crippling.
But I will admit this, I do kind of see Russia's side. I do. I'm not for Russia, but I see it.
Right, exactly.
I mean, flying someone home from space is a huge favor to do, especially for an enemy. You know, it's like picking them up from the airport 1,000,000 times over.
God, you could feel an airport joke was coming, and it came, and it still wasn't funny.
And also, why didn't America get this astronaut down before this war escalated? Huh? They knew he was hitching a ride on a Russian thing. This is like when you quit a job, and then you storm out of the office cursing at everyone. Yeah, suck my d***! And then you realize you left your phone behind. Oh, man. Oh, shit. Yeah, I'm sorry about that, sir. I didn't realize it was still charging. Yeah, but text me about sucking my d***.
I've literally done something like that where I've quit a job, I think when I was in high school, and I had to go back because I had to like return in all my work attire. It was so awkward. I didn't say those words though.
You know, people, this is exactly why America needs to start some sorts of military force to defend space. Think about it, right? What they could do is have it up there defending all of space on America's behalf. What's that?
Space Force?
It did? And I called it the military's version of university.
Okay, this is stupid. I can't keep watching it. It's so dumb. All right, next clip. I love this. CRT. Is it taught in schools? Is it CRT but just rebranded? Well, Beto O'Rourke, aka Mr. Francis, said this today on his campaign trail.
And I think you and I probably are both on the same page as well. We don't see CRT being taught in our schools right now.
Which is what you hear all the time. It's a law practice. And you're like, yeah, CRT is a very high thought. But you can dumb down some of these principles and teach them to kids. It's like math. You don't just start doing math like algebra straight into elementary school. You start with simple math. So it's the same kind of thought process, but you know how politicians are. They're very disingenuous and just they say things just to say things and try to lie straight to your face, and only the idiots that read right through, that just listen to them and don't actually look up information, take it as fact. But let's continue to listen as Mr. Beto Francis O'Rourke has to say this.
It's a course that is taught in law school. No, I don't think it should be taught.
Uh-oh. Beto O'Rourke says CRT shouldn't be taught. Republicans should pounce on this like crazy because we'll see how they spin this, because it'll be interesting to see what the mainstream corporate media will say about this, especially on the left. Next clip. Very ironic from Mr. Beto. Let's see. Save those for later. I love this clip. It teaches you that you need to be wary of your surroundings at all time, because you could have a girlfriend or a psychotic person standing right behind you watching your cell phone.
If he was actually exercising, this situation probably could have been avoided. just stood over him as he did whatever on his phone. Hopefully it wasn't bad.
You better not be talking to who I think you're talking to.
You crazy as hell.
I swear he'd been sitting for at least 10 minutes on the machine. I wanted to help him, but I was training a client. Almost the whole gym was watching, waiting for him to notice. When she left, we told him that whatever you did on that phone for the last 15 minutes, she saw it, buddy. He ran out after her, and I haven't seen him in the gym since.
I love it. I would just watch it too. All right, let's see what else is going on. Okay, this. United States has a huge drug epidemic that we don't want to talk about or discuss, especially when it comes to, shutting down the border and stuff like that, because, well, politics play a key in just about every decision our politicians make. They don't want to just be honest. They don't want to have a serious conversation about things like drug overdoses or what's called homeless, when it's just much of homelessness is just open air drug use. They don't want to have that conversation. So instead, stuff like this is going to continue to happen.
Recovering from overdoses on fentanyl-laced cocaine. 2 cadets are on ventilators, clinging to life. It all happened while they were on spring break in Florida. Here is Ted Scouten of our CBS Miami station, WFOR.
It was a terrifying scene as dozens of paramedics arrived at this Florida vacation home and found 4 spring breakers passed out in apparent overdoses from cocaine laced with fentanyl. 2 others were overcome when they tried to help.
4 of those individuals had taken a substance that was believed to be cocaine laced with fentanyl. When they went down into cardiac arrest, 2 of their friends began doing CPR, and they were exposed from the direct contact of the fentanyl.
The overdose victims were West Point cadets who were all rushed to area hospitals. 3 remain hospitalized. Today, in a statement, West Point says the U.S. Military Academy is aware of the situation and the incident is currently under investigation. Neighbor Elizabeth Fumosa watched in horror as first responders.
Once again, people are more concerned about these kids doing drugs as opposed to where they got their drugs from, how they came here, and stuff like that. We'll go out and we'll prosecute these kids and put it under investigation, but we won't go after the actual people that are supplying to these kids as harsh as people that are actually doing drugs. I get so tired of this conversation because no one wants to have a serious conversation about what to do with people like this.
Used Narcan to revive the victims.
I was really scared. I thought they were, they weren't breathing. I couldn't see their chest moving, but it was really serious.
Authorities in Fort Lauderdale say that they are concerned with spring break underway now, that there could be more overdose cases here. Meanwhile, Fort Lauderdale Fire Rescue says that just within the last 24 hours, they've responded to 10 opioid overdose calls, many suspected of being fentanyl. Major?
WFOR's Ted Scouten.
It doesn't take much fentanyl for you to completely collapse. So, but again, when are we going to have a serious conversation about drugs? Instead of just doing the same thing we've been doing, where we're locking up nonviolent drug offenders in our prisons. Huh? When are we going to do it? Republicans, Democrats, you guys pretend like you're for the small people, both of you, but you guys don't care about the drug epidemic. We'll just keep the wheel turning. Okay. Next story. Okay. Let's go back and see if there's any live news going on.
Study influenzas and other pathogens that have the risk of affecting humans and animals and livestock and agriculture. They essentially serve as an early warning system for detecting disease outbreaks.
Does this study involve developing pathogens as well?
No.
Then how do you know what pathogens there are? And why is there such panic? What are the pathogens which, as it has been said out here, that if these specific pathogens get away, then
they're talking about the Ukraine biolabs.
Those biolabs in Ukraine, there are some dangerous pathogens. And all of this is happening under the DTRA, the Defense Threat Reduction Agency, right? And the DTRA actually got millions for low visibility chemical and biological search that would meet, quote unquote, specific combatant command requirements, which means they were being used for a military purpose, which means therefore, and I am quoting information that has come from Pentagon, that means millions have gone into the development of low visibility chemical and biological research that will meet specific combatant command requirements, which means they're being used for the US military.
There's work that's occurring for defensive purposes as well as public health purposes. The U.S. Department of Defense has more than 100
No, but they're being used for military purposes. See, that is very different, Ms. Parthmore. Ms. Parthmore, I think you need to explain this, because you just tried to tell me some time back, in fact about a minute back, that this was for public health, whereas I have come to you and I have just cut.
Oh, they cut him off. What? Why did they do that? Oh, they cut him off. Why? What just happened? They were just like, no, you can't have this conversation anymore. What just happened?
Republic World.
What? I mean, seriously, what just happened? What the frick? Okay. Are they going to go back to that? All right. Let's see what else is going on in the news.
From Beijing, which has exerted more control in this semi-autonomous territory since the 2019 protests, is clear. Get your house in order. Last month, Chinese President Xi Jinping placed Hong Kong authorities on notice, instructing them to take all necessary measures to contain the virus. China is, of course, the last major country relentlessly pursuing zero COVID. Hong Kong was once a case study in COVID control after going long stretches of 2021 without a single reported infection. But now its death rate is the highest in the developed world. More than 3,200 people have died in the current wave that began at the start of this year. That's compared with 213 reported deaths in Hong Kong in the first 2 years of the pandemic.
This wave will definitely be contained.
To cope with the surge, Hong Kong's leader Carrie Lam has welcomed mainland China's direct help, which was played up on Chinese social media as a patriotic gesture. Experts and healthcare workers coming in from across the border to build makeshift isolation facilities, and even rapidly constructing a quick access.
Whoa, Mom, what up? It's been so long since I've seen you. How's it going? How many people in Hong Kong? Don't know.
3,900 beds. This thing was built in a week. It's made up of these cabins and
I mean, they're still talking about Omicron out there.
policy. You're meant to not quarantine.
When was the last time you heard about Omicron on any of our news sources? I don't hear anything. Hope you're doing well. How you doing? What's going on with your life?
And running by April.
Doing well? Good.
People from
Appreciate you stopping in. We've been talking about a bunch of stuff so far. Right now, I'm just kind of looking at the live news clips. I got a bunch of clips lined up just to break down with everyone. This is overblown as well. Yeah,
You're
of course.
asking 2 years into the pandemic.
Everything's
How
overblown.
is Hong Kong so unprepared?
Well, I guess not everything. You can't say that, but.
Vaccines since early 2021.
Okay, they're talking about vaccines there. I'm curious. I was watching this Indian news and they were talking about the biolabs on there, and then all of a sudden it just got cut. It's so weird. Look at this story, though. This story is hilarious. All right, here we go. You thought vegan was weird. Wait till you have raw meat.
There's so many health benefits to eating liver, animal organs, raw liver. So, see, I already had a huge bite here.
Heidi Montag has added a new food group to her diet, raw animal organs.
Definitely get used to it.
The 35-year-old Hills New Beginning star has been trying all sorts of diet trends to help conceive a second baby with her husband, Spencer Pratt.
Thanks to force of nature, I have some bull's balls, testicles here. I think they're bulls. I'm not sure exactly what. I think they're bull's balls. So
Ew, you mean Rocky Mountain oysters?
I'm gonna try these. Eating live organs. Have a little bite of this one. Okay. Not too bad. And then this one came with it. The big ball. This one's pretty hard to bite into. Ah, slippery!
It looks like chicken.
Huh. I think I might need to cook this one.
Maybe cook all of them? I don't know.
It's a little intense. Here's a little piece of it.
Heidi recently spoke to people about the raw diet, saying, I love trying new things. I've always been very interested in various types of diets. The reality star went on to reveal how long she's been trying to get pregnant and then explained all the benefits of eating raw organs, adding, I've been trying to get pregnant for over 1.5 years. I'm willing to try different things. It's a great source of nutrients. I felt incredible on this diet. A lot more energy, clarity, increased libido, and overall improvement on chronic pain I have had.
So I've been reading a lot about the benefits of raw liver. So I got raw bison liver, grass-fed, grass-finished. I didn't know if I could take a bite. I did. So then I cut it up in little pieces. One says about a palmful. So I'm just gonna pretend it's carpaccio. Breakfast of Champions. Hoping this will help me get pregnant.
The mom
God, this is just a desperation to get pregnant? Is that all this is?
of one 4-year-old son, Gunnar, has been doing everything she can to expand her family, including going under the knife.
Yeah, I would just do bone broth too. That's it. No sugar, no caffeine. This is when you know you just want to get pregnant no matter what, I guess. I don't really know.
Heidi revealed last August in a YouTube video that she had surgery to try and better her chances of conceiving another child by doing a hysteroscopic polypectomy procedure, which is when non-cancerous uterine polyps are removed.
All done, and then I can have intercourse in 2 days, and I'm ovulating, so hopefully this is time. But just praying God's timing. Hopefully that I am ovulating, because Dr. Cullen was like, well, maybe you might be ovulating every other month. We'll see. I'm just so happy to have this done. Feeling good.
I love people that do anesthesia videos. Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. Bishoy, what's up? She's eating raw meat and organs.
And anesthesia felt great, so feeling good. Spencer's gonna come pick me up soon.
Yeah, Spencer better. He obviously loves her.
Awesome experience.
5 months later, Heidi shared a photo montage on Instagram of her and
Heidi montage, photo montage. Oh my God.
Gunnar, along with a candid message for her fans about continuing her journey to try for baby number 2, penning, so thankful for my angel. I never thought it would be so hard to have another. I am trusting God's plan, and if we only have one, I am so thankful for this miracle.
Ew, that story is just gross. Just be healthy. I'm sick of these like people on these crazy diets. Just eat healthy. God. Just like, I'm having lemon and water and that's it for a full week. And now I'm going to eat bull testicles every day for a month. Just to see. Gunnar is like a mom, please. I know. That's sick, dude. All right, check this before I go to my next story.
And Lambda Legal.
They cannot stand.
And major corporations are also speaking
what
up,
is
declaring
this?
alongside the Human Rights Commission, discrimination is bad for business
I have
in
one of
response to
these
Governor
queued up.
Abbott's alleged directive. Prior to the ruling, one Texas lawyer not associated with either side said the decision would be
Dude, okay, vegetarian for life. I feel like I just almost went full vegetarian.
For this type of medical care, except for Arkansas.
But the effects of this climate already evident. Texas Children's Hospital halting hormone therapies earlier this week, leaving some Texas parents of transgender youth.
Okay, what's going on with this Texas transgender thing? I think I got this thing queued up right here. All right, let's see.
Tonight, a judge in Texas has temporarily blocked the state from investigating parents who obtain gender transitioning medical care for their children. The governor of Texas had directed Child Protective Services to open the investigations, calling the treatments, quote, child abuse, unquote. 9 cases were opened, and despite tonight's ruling, for many, the damage is already done. Here is CBS's Omar Villafranca.
This 14-year-old is the transgender son of Amber and Adam Briggle. They don't want us to use his first name because last week, Child Protective Services showed up at their house to find out if his parents were providing care related to their son's transition.
I was in the fetal position on the floor, gripping the floor because the room wouldn't stop spinning.
The stakes have never been this high or real for us.
Last month, Republican Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton issued a legal opinion that said gender-affirming procedures and treatments, when performed on children, can legally constitute child abuse. Texas Children's Hospital, the country's largest pediatric facility, paused all gender-affirming therapy for children. Republican State Senator Charles Perry agrees with the directive's intent.
I'm faced with the welfare of a child that, and I think the data supports it, that is not mature enough to have these decisions being made for them to understand.
In 2016, the Briggles invited Paxton.
Oh my gosh, what are you guys' thoughts on that in the chat? Let me know.
And his wife to their house for dinner to talk about transgender issues. Paxton even took a picture with their son.
They know we're not child abusers. They know we're not child abusers. He sat at my table and broke bread with my family and then says that families like mine should not exist. It's a political stunt.
This directive is being challenged in court.
It's a political stunt? Which part is the political stunt? I'm curious.
But for now, the Briggles and other parents of nearly 14,000 transgender Texas teenagers feel their future is up in the air. Omar.
Oh my God, like they're going to die or something?
Villafranca, CBS News, Dallas.
Hi, content creator.
I don't think kids should transition. That's just my stance. Especially that young. I mean, that kid is so young. That's like something if you want to do when you're 18, you're out of the house, or 21 or whatever, we can have a conversation about that. But this whole affirming kids, no matter what, is just, it's not healthy. Like, and if that's something that a kid wants to do later in life, then all power to him. Do whatever you want. I don't care. But as a child, I can't get behind that. I was in education. I worked with kids for way too long. Kids would tell me all kinds of insane things, like they felt that they were or wanted to be, or just thoughts in general. And to say that I'm just going to affirm everything they say, I can't stand for that. I just can't. Like, I don't, as a teacher, you should not just let kids, it's like in a parent, you don't let your kid just do whatever they want, because then they grow up to be little shitheads. like what do you expect? I don't know. That kid doesn't even look 14. Yeah, he doesn't. That kid looked like he was in 6th grade. They're not trans, possible to change their bylaw. There's that. Consent without forcing the points. Yeah, they should just move to Massachusetts. Yeah, you can move to another state instead of playing the victim card, or like Portland and stuff like that. You know, some of these states, their laws of consent are very, very young in age, which is insane, because then that means they don't even have to have a conversation with their parents. They don't have to have a conversation with their legal guardians. They can just do it with a doctor's notice. So your kid could come home one day and be completely different, and that's something you're gonna just have to live with because of the laws in the land of the state, and depending on who that kid talks to. But it's really hard too, especially with some of this agendas coming down and how political it is, and that like we can't have a logical conversation, scientific conversation whatsoever, especially about brain development and where the kid is mentally, emotionally as well. And just the overall culture of the celebratory culture of that side. And of course a kid wants to be celebrated more than be bullied or whatever. So, but I just can't stand, I know it's like such a touchy issue, and I know people like to be really aggressive about it or not. I try to be fair-minded, and I just think like scientifically, logically, is not something I can ever get on board, ever. I just know too much about kids. I know too much about their brain development, and it's not something I can affirm in their life, especially at that age. Could you imagine making a decision at 8 years old or 9 years old and it being something you have to live with the rest of your life? That's insane. I don't want that for myself when I was 18. Why would I want that for myself if I was 8 years old? Especially when I was 8 years old, I was going through so much crap in my life. I had like divorce. I was getting bullied. There was like so much. I could easily see myself getting wrapped up in something that I would regret later in life. They should just move them. It's a child and make their own. It's their child. So if they make the decision, even though I don't agree, then the damage will do to the parents for life. Yeah, it's their fault. Yeah. Well, it's just like, I don't think an 8-year-old should go and, get a breast enlargement or something stupid like that. Like, if that shouldn't be ever a thing. So why should a lot of this kind of stuff? You shouldn't be able to like change your entire body, your chemical makeup at such a young age. It's not okay. Being someone who despises Big Pharma, I cannot imagine the toxic effects of those drugs. Exactly. We have no studies of what goes on in putting some of these hormones, even with like antidepressants and stuff like that, and ADHD medicine. We don't have a lot of studies about the overall effects that happens because all this stuff is so new. Transhumanism, yeah. So I know it's a touchy subject, but I'm always happy to have a conversation about it. Again, if you're 18 and over, I don't give a crap. Do whatever you want. I don't care. I believe in freedom to the utmost. Be as free as you want. Believe whatever you want to believe. But a kid, absolutely not. So I don't want 7-year-olds going and fighting wars. I don't think they should drive tanks. I don't think they should fly planes if they want to. There's a lot of rules when you're a child. You can't just because a politician says that this is like okay to do doesn't mean you should do it ever in life. Period. The end of story. But I'm the Nazi. Okay.
A large piece.
Okay. Let's check back on the news. This Indian news company is amazing. I mean,
if you take a look at this area,
look at the camera. It is so blown out.
Most of the places,
look at this.
Be it in Overuch, be it in Korostan, and now here in Malin, just the sheer size of this will give you an idea of.
Wokemom, I appreciate all the chats. Yeah. And again, I can have that conversation with anybody anytime, even with another YouTuber if they think it's okay. And it's always the argument too is when you talk about that stuff, it's like you're increasing the level for suicide, you're increasing the level for bullying, and that's just a part of being a child for one. But also the suicide thing is then that should tell me they're not mentally able to cope in life. So they need more than just a quick fix for their problems to suddenly go away. They're going to deal with this the rest of their life. And so they should be in counseling. They should seek help for their emotional distress. Like, I don't want a kid who's overly stressed out to come into an office and seek help just to be affirmed, as opposed to like, what's some of the big issues going on in your life? Let's have this conversation. So.
I didn't want to do, but I had to do it.
Mayhem in Newport Beach, California. Police say a man stole a 65-foot yacht. He apparently didn't know how to pilot. He ricocheted.
Dude, driving that big of a boat is a lot harder than it looks.
Everyone's rethinking their jobs during this pandemic and their relationship to their employer.
All right. Lots of
seawall and got stuck.
A woman on a nearby boat says she was just enjoying a relaxing morning when suddenly the rogue yacht crashed into her boat.
The entire
this
starboard
woman
side came crashing in on me.
This entire starboard side came crashing in on me when I was drinking my Pinot Gris.
Closure, everything was crashing in on me.
Even though it seems we've seen movies warning about this, there's a new project underway to bring back the woolly mammoth.
Oh my God. Why stop there? Bring back Velociraptors.
Some remarkable similarities. More importantly, they've identified the differences. Genetically removing the different genes from an elephant, in theory, would result in a large, furry elephant with long tusks and the ability to live in the frigid Arctic tundra. Dallas-based startup Colossus.
Our politicians and scientists just think they could just do whatever they want, and they're okay. Oh, DuckDuckGo, R.I.P. All right, let's watch this. it's funny because like you hear all these stories about gas prices being high, and you just don't hear a lot of things of like, oh yeah, gas prices also affect like food and delivery services.
Gas prices nationwide hit a new record high today, $4.33 a gallon. That's up almost 50 cents since just last week.
Yay!
And starting next Wednesday, Uber is adding a temporary
just get an electric vehicle, you freaking broke bastard.
Surcharge of 45 cents or 55 cents per ride. Uber says the surcharge is meant to soften the blow of higher gas prices on drivers.
A 10-cent surcharge? Those poor drivers. That's what happens when you're in a freaking contract position. Here's an extra 10 cents in your pocket. We don't want to hurt our people that are buying it. We don't care about you. Oh my God. Okay. I'm going to save this story for last. The TikTokers thing. It's so weird. I hate it so much. I want to hear about this.
Of space junk reportedly crashed into
space
the
junk.
Of the moon this morning. This is video of what's believed to be the last image of the rogue space rocket that collided with the moon. It's said to be the size of a bus, and because of the crash location, it may take weeks, even months, to confirm the impact. Astronomers originally thought the space junk was the upper stage of a SpaceX booster launched in 2015.
Space junk.
Now experts think it's part of a Chinese rocket launched in 2014. The out-of-control craft was traveling at a speed of about 5,700 miles an hour and was expected to crash at 6:25 a.m. The impact is predicted to leave a 66-foot crater and produce a cloud of lunar dust spanning hundreds of miles.
Dope. Make sure to open your mouth for that. Good Lord. What? Ukrainians denied entry to the United States? All right. Let's save that story for last. Let's check the news.
Now, look at what's...
How you guys doing tonight? Any big plans this weekend? You guys in the chat?
Wherever you are, it's here now.
These days, it feels like the...
Okay, enough of the commercials.
You were already looking at a global response. For the paperback release of your book, for instance, you've updated it with some lessons to be taken from countries' responses to COVID. So what larger lessons stand out to you 2 years on from the start of the pandemic?
Maybe be honest about things.
The first thing is being prepared is really important. And countries that did well, like Taiwan, were prepared. Taiwan, you know.
I don't know. We may get more snow or rain. Bummer. Unless you want that. I think I'm over the snow. Where I live, it snows too.
Disease specialists for their public health agency. They bolstered their data infrastructure so that they were monitoring and doing much better surveillance. Another thing that we think is important is central control and collaboration, so that there is a task force or some other group across.
Dude, I want spring now too, so bad. I'm like so ready for warm weather. Maybe I should just move into a warmer place. Move to Florida like everybody and their mom is right now.
Authorities, allocating resources. There needs to be a point of contact with the private sector, the pharmaceutical companies making vaccines, making therapeutics.
It's amazing how COVID just kind of ended and how they're talking about it like they're reflecting on how great of a job they've done or something. I just don't get it.
One of the things we're all asking, country or medical powerhouse, what happened?
Well,
I think I'm done talking about COVID though.
Кто из них не говорил по существу поставленный нами вопрос?
I also want to say,
Когда моя американская коллега
Poof
метала
gone. I know.
громы молнии, обвиняя...
Speaking of poof gone, where the frick is Tony Fauci? Not that I care. Not that I ever want to see him ever again. But where's the Fauci?
Now this appears to be some sort of a kind of a underground bunker that you see here. Now these are places, these are not exactly bunkers, these are more like storage, underground storage spaces, which have now essentially been converted into more like places that one can go when there is an air raid alert that takes place. Some households have built that and
Fauci is hiding. I think Fauci's in Ukraine right now trying to destroy the biolabs.
these areas, it's very difficult to come out completely unhurt.
It's like, I feel like Fauci's gonna have like a comeback tour. He's like, I'm back. back. That bunker, maybe. I know they didn't go down in the bunker. They should have. Again, guys, I have a few people watching on different channels. I'm live right now on Rumble, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, and did I say them all? I think so.
The Indian Intellectual Property Office of the Government
all right.
of India.
Let's see what else is going on. I'll watch. Okay, we'll get into the TikToks. Why not? Let's get right into this. I don't know. Have you guys seen this whole TikTok thing? The TikTok revolution. Sending these children to, I guess, be spokespeople for your kids and mine. Not that I have any kids, but metaphorical children. All right, let's get into the stupid story. TikTokers being sent because, well, they got to, tell your kids what's going on, and they don't expect you as parents or to be able to educate them well because you're too dumb in their eyes. So listen to this.
You'll hear a siren sound 3 and 4 times a day. Russian invasion took the freedom from us.
So I decided to do this media war, as we call it.
And because of the TikTok, 14 million people have seen what it's like to live in Ukraine and what we feel.
So there's this aspect of the TikTok, which is I fully support, Ukrainian children showing us what's going on because God knows I barely believe anything our reporters are giving us as they constantly are reporting from their hotel room with their perfect hair. And that looks like they've never been outside the entire time during this war. But it's been such a weird war where we have more cell phone footage and TikTok footage and live TikTok feeds that seem more credible than some of the crap that is pushed down our throats from corporate media.
As Russia invades Ukraine, some young social media users are experiencing the conflict on
yeah, I
the
know.
front
Look,
lines
Mom.
on TikTok. Ukrainian influencers uploaded videos of people crying in windowless bomb shelters, explosions blasting, and missiles streaking across the country's cities. The conflict, which Russia calls a special operation, is the latest example of the central role TikTok plays in bringing news to the Gen Z audience. The app has been...
And so that's why the White House saw this opportunity of, so if we need to push down our propaganda and push down our news, what we want to, the message, the narrative that we want to send, we can no longer do it through our news sources because that gets the older generations, whereas the new generations, Gen Z and some millennials, are on TikTok, and that's where they get most of their news. Like, I'm on TikTok, and I put crap out there for Gen Z to make a difference in their life and hopefully provide some decent information.
Become so influential that Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky...
Oh, yeah, I know. Woke Mom, I totally agree with you. Chinese communists run TikTok, but I can't tell who I trust more, Chinese communists or Facebook and Google. They seem, it seems like the same to me.
Appealed to the, quote, TikTokers as a group that could help end the conflict.
Нашого українського народу.
Some influencers, like 18-year-old Alina Volik, have answered the call.
During the first days of war, I wasn't even watching TikTok and I didn't think about posting videos there, but then I just realized that this is unreal and I was watching news all day long. I couldn't leave my phone and I decided to make my video and to show people what it's like to live in Ukraine. Those photos that I added in my video, like emergency backpack, sealed windows, I initially took these pictures for the memory and I wasn't going to post it. But then I collected it in one video, which has 14 million views right now on TikTok.
No big
TikTok
deal.
boasts 1 billion active monthly users. Its algorithm is known for serving trending content even if users do not follow certain people. It's a feature that allows topics to quickly go viral. Other Ukrainian TikTokers have made it a mission to share information and spread awareness with Western audiences. One of them is 20-year-old
Pulling
Marta
up more
Vasuta.
news stories.
Shortly before the start of the Russian invasion, Marta traveled to London. She hasn't been able to go back to Ukraine since.
When I posted this first video, at the beginning, not even at the beginning, but a couple hours later, it had like 20,000 of views, which was really, really insane amount. And when it reached like 20 million views,
Doom scrolling. Feels like it.
That is the half of my country's population.
Marta follows multiple Telegram channels to find news and videos. She says she exercises due diligence in verifying the images and videos before posting them.
In the first days, there were some people that were even DMing me on Instagram saying that I share fake information, that it is Photoshop, it is from Israel and Palestine, it is from other countries, it is from 2014. And I am showing real information. I always put location, time, and date on my videos so people can see
The fact checking in TikTok is the comment section.
it is real.
Researchers warn that false information about the conflict is now mixed in with authentic information and has spread
Yeah, I wonder where they get that from. I don't know. Our corporate media?
wildly on TikTok and other tech platforms. Alina says she's been posting videos to combat misinformation in the Russian news.
I think the role of young people in this conflict is firstly to refute the Russian propaganda, because a majority
Yeah, send these kids to the bio labs. let's see if they find anything.
of Russians don't believe what is going on in Ukraine.
Yeah, a lot of Russians don't believe what's going on in Ukraine. I did a video on that earlier about a bunch of Russians saying, like, that's all propaganda. None of it's real. It's just a military operation, and they're not actually going to war or killing people. It's very interesting, but that just shows you the power of state media is not okay to do, and the state dictating what information should be shared and what information should be censored is also not okay. So a lot of the corporate media right now are in a bit of a catch-22 where they see what's going on in Russia and they're like, it's bad to censor information. But at the same time, you look at them and say, oh, like when you guys did that all the last year and a half about COVID? Okay.
I don't know what can be worse than the war in your country while you are here, and you're observing how places where you were hanging out with your friends are now destroyed. Only my goals keeps me going. I hope to receive this scholarship to study abroad, and actually I didn't expect to become noticed because of this terrific situation. I received 22,000 followers on Instagram, and of course this is not how I wanted to become known. I really want to thank everyone who support us. I receive a lot of messages on my Instagram of support to Ukrainian people.
Okay, so there's this aspect of the TikTokers, all right? And it's like the Ukraine base, a lot of journalism's going on, some good, some not so good. But we're getting a lot of information from TikTok in this war. And I think this is the first war that TikTok has blown up, especially with the live feeds. I've watched live feeds where they were clearly fake. And it was just like some dude in his room with the lights off, with like a strobe light and just heavy breathing and fake sirens going on. So I've seen these videos, and I would be commenting like, this is clearly fake, and people were just buying it and sucking it up. But then there's like some real actual footage of guys like in their room and giving updated information and then showing what's going on outside, which has been really awesome, because then you get to see some actual news as opposed to whatever Fox News, MSNBC, CNN pushes down your throats, and all that stuff. And TikTok is one of those apps where it's a very strong algorithm. So if you're into dancing and booty shaking, you're going to get all that. But if you're into like science, you're into the news, you're into sports, you're going to get all of that. So you have to, it's funny that people that come out and say like TikTok is only this, and you're like, well, that's because that's all you like looking at. It's a very good algorithm. So then you have this side of what's going on in TikTok. Now we have the White House saying, oh, we got to capitalize on this. We have to use these kids to promote our propaganda, promote our mission, especially the stuff that's going on in Ukraine and the information they're struggling getting a hold of, which is the inflation and gas prices and biolabs. Those three things, they're really pushing down the throat for these kids to put out information to combat people like me who are trying to like tell them the truth. So now we have this side. So this is the American side, which is this part. This is where TikTok, I just feel like it's terrible. So you have like a decent side of the TikTok where you can learn stuff and you can watch funny videos and you can get a laugh. And then you have the propaganda side that is just peddled and pushed. And so you can like put credits and stuff like that so that your video gets pushed more and stuff like that. So there's that side of it. But, you know, Instagram does a lot of the same things, but TikTok is a lot better of an algorithm and better app, and more kids are on it. So now we have this side of the equation. So here's our kids.
So I just got off of a Zoom call with the White House about the situation in Ukraine.
And again, is the White House vetting these kids? Are they looking?
So I just got.
Are they looking for the brightest and smartest kids ever, or are they purely looking for these kids based on their following content, probably their political affiliation, and how willing they are to hype up whatever's going on in the White House to make them look better? And I feel like that is primarily the vision of what's going on and why they want to have these kids come into the White House.
Off of a Zoom call with the White House about the situation in Ukraine. A number of other content creators in social media and myself were invited to this event, which was on background, meaning that we couldn't record or take pictures, but we can discuss what we learned from it. Now, there was definitely a lot.
I wish one of those kids was just like, don't tell me what to do, and then actually put out information, because I would love to be a fly on the wall and hear the real information that was being pressed and how they presented it and how they told the kids to put it out, because I'm curious how this all went down. And the fact that nobody screen recorded, come on. This generation, where are the punks? Where are the people that say F you to the establishment, to the big guy, and get us the real information?
Were invited to this event, which was on background, meaning that we couldn't record or take pictures, but we can discuss what we learned from it. Now, there was definitely a lot discussed, but in this video, I'm going to go over the specific question that I got to ask, the answer to it, and my thoughts on their response. And as a quick piece of context, a lot of the people there ask questions based off of the content they create and what they feel their audience might want to know. So that informs the question that I personally asked. So this was my question. Many people from marginalized communities in the United States have become dejected regarding the situation because there's an imbalance of coverage and assistance given to the Ukraine-Russia crisis compared to other occupations, invasions, and attacks throughout the world, some of which have U.S. involvement. What incentivizes these Americans to be in strong support of the U.S., giving high levels of attention and direct aid against the Russian invasion, as we feel there isn't enough attention on related issues in other places throughout the world and right here in the United States?
So this kid just comes out and says he's a big racist. Why should I care about white people getting murdered, basically, is what this kid just said. Because you guys don't care about when these people get murdered, so why should I care about these people? How about just not try to just follow whatever is going on? I care about all people getting murdered, like Yemen and Libya and Congo. There's so much going on over there. I try to look up information all the time. I try to present it on my podcast all the time. But it doesn't get as much coverage. Also, there's also this aspect of it, kid. You have a nuclear power, not fighting in different areas, not just shooting a couple of bombs here and there. They're invading an entire country, all right? A peaceful country that had nothing to do with what's going on. So there's that aspect of it. No big deal, whatever. Yes, they were fighting in the Donetsk region and stuff like that, and that's a big aspect we could talk about. But it's a huge deal. Because it has global implications. But, you know, I love this generation of children. It's like, I'm black. Why should I care about white people getting murdered? What a silly question. But, you know, I'm glad this kid is putting out information for all our kids to see.
First, I'll try to give a direct summary of what they said, which can be divided into 4 different points. According to them, one reason...
Look at him. He's like reading off of a script.
That this crisis is specifically notable is because of the size of the invasion, which is the largest since World War II. Second, they acknowledge that this coverage imbalance exists for crises throughout the world and encourage us as content creators to use our platforms to highlight different issues as they arise, especially when mainstream media fails to do so. Third, they said that just because something isn't getting mainstream coverage in media doesn't mean that the United States isn't giving aid, whether that be monetary, humanitarian, or military aid to other issues throughout the globe. And last, they said that they hope that this crisis at least raises the public consciousness around geopolitical issues throughout the world, and that even though Americans may not be proud of other things the United States has done globally, that they hope that we can look back on this moment and see how the United States rallied the West to stand up against Russia and be proud of that. And once again, that's what they said. Now, I'll just share 3 quick points of analysis that came to mind.
So it was broken down point by point for you to say. Thanks for confirming.
So first, I think the best attempted direct answer to what I asked was the first point that they made, in that the invasion in Ukraine is so large that it could have global consequences which would affect everyone throughout the world, including here in the United States. Second, while I'm glad that they acknowledge that other issues, both domestically and internationally, rarely get as much coverage, I think it was a red herring for them to suggest that this was just due to media corporations. Like Biden's State of the Union, which was just last week, was definitely a time where he got to choose what issues would get awareness. For example, he made the decision to go up there and talk about criminal justice by saying the answer is not to defund the police, it's to fund the police. That's just...
Wait, did he put up on there? Which comes in direct contrast of what many Black Lives Matter activists... I can't believe I closed my face to the screen, sorry. Black Lives Matter activists advocated for, and they same people. Okay. Sometimes when you're like, did he write that? Yeah. And they same people, the Biden admin appealed to the votes. Exactly. I'm glad this kid at least has the gall to call out Biden for saying it's Republicans are the ones actually trying to defund the police. It's not us. And this kid's like, actually it goes against everything you guys have been talking about, and I'm going to hold you accountable to that. Interesting.
And talk about criminal justice by saying the answer is not to defund the police, it's to fund the police. That's just to say that the government isn't helpless to the whims of the media, but they also have opportunities to craft the political narrative themselves. The last thing I'll say is that the answer generally had this tone of, America's doing a lot to help the world, but of course we wish we could do more. However, there wasn't a lot of acknowledgement in what America should stop doing in terms of their connections to occupations, invasions, and general bad faith actions throughout the world. And I want to hear your comments and opinions too. So
Interesting. So it's not as aggressive as I thought it was going to be, but the fact that we're sending kids in to push this stuff is interesting. There's a big push for a lot of our corporate media organizations. Like I just did a video yesterday about how the Don't Say Gay bill, as they're putting it out in Florida, and this news agency interviewed a 17-year-old kid, a gay kid, that for the interview about what's going on and his thoughts about it, as opposed, like, instead of talking to an actual adult, they're like trying to get the emotional plea to kids, because I think they feel like adults will look at a kid like this and go, well, he's a kid, he has a good heart, I'm not going to argue with what he has to say, and instead of treating him like an adult for having an adult opinion, you know? So let me know your thoughts are on this, because I don't know. There's an obsession with corporate media and the left to engage with children more. But this just got put out just now. Russians reportedly bringing biochem weapon suits into Ukraine. The senior administration told ABC Friday that the U.S. is getting reports that Russians are starting to bring in biochem weapon suits in Ukraine. The report comes as Russians accused Ukraine and the U.S. of developing biochemical weapons, which the U.S. denied. We believe it's an ominous sign that they are possibly doing it for cover, the officials said. It's hard to keep up with what's propaganda and what's not. And I know to act like our own country doesn't push propaganda is just absolutely silly. # weapons of mass destruction. According to to this official, as much as 1/5 of the Russian force is currently inoperable, meaning they are either dead, wounded, or did not have support or equipment needed to continue. But even though the Russians are bogged down, they realize that everything depends on taking Kyiv and continue to put an effort into that, according to the official. But the fact that they're bringing in biochemical suits as the Pentagon pushes out, Pentagon watchdog watching for potential Russian bioweapons false flag operation. Who's telling the truth and who's lying? What do they say about conspiracy theories? It only takes about 6 months. Or did Alex Jones say it, as I say? It's like, if Alex Jones said it, then probably there's a good chance I might believe it. All right. Okay. Time to laugh about something. I'm sick of reading crazy news for a minute. This is me rolling into the weekend. Just killing the game. Skadoosh. And here's me. Dun, 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 bam, bam, dun, 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 so stupid. Okay, Nancy freaking Pelosi today. I get so sick of the propaganda push by so many of these people. But here she is. Here she is to wreck the day.
Years. But we have to live in a year where even though the bill's for 10 years, they measure it for 20 years. And imprimatur said $1 trillion over 20 years is saved. So when we're having this discussion, it's important to dispel some of those who say, well, it's the government spending. No.
Look at Jim Clyburn just like looking at her like, girl, I don't know what the heck you are saying right now.
The government spending is doing the exact reverse, reducing the national debt. It is not inflationary, A. B, we don't want to reduce the national debt. No, it isn't. The government spending is doing the exact reverse, reducing the national debt. It is not.
The government spending is reducing the national debt. Got it. If you don't get it, it's because you have logic.
Not inflationary, A. B, we don't want to reduce the increase in jobs, which we're very proud of. This president breaking records, historic numbers of jobs.
It's amazing. The job creation that happened where he just said COVID's essentially over and you could just open your business and people went back to work. Job creation.
In the first year of his term in office, and a lot of it traced to the American Recovery Act. But yeah, we're paying very close attention to it. But this starts with Putin because of global inflation for reasons beyond the gas price. Global inflation is something that we have to deal with globally, but we have our responsibility to deal with it at home, and we have legislation that does just that by increasing supply and again creating jobs in a way that is not adding to inflation.
God, that person is running for re-election. All right, here we go. The rare time I agree with a Democrat.
Mr. Speaker. Thank you. Mr. Speaker, I yield the... Mr. Speaker, daylight saving, not plural, time has never saved us from anything. Certainly not the higher energy costs it promised to lower. Statistically, there is proof that the twice yearly time change, which is much harder to manage than you might imagine, can
I can imagine.
To increased accidents. Deadly accidents. And furthermore, the mishmash of time zones and time changes is just another example of this government overextending its reach into our lives.
Here, here. A Democrat talking about government overreach? Dear God. What year is this? Because I am full support. I hate fall back, spring forward. What a waste. It's 2022. Why do we need to follow those old rules? But maybe I'm crazy. God. All right, speaking of crazy, let's get into this.
I'm sick of this stuff. We have to talk about it because the American people think the reason for inflation is government spending more money. Simply not true.
Yeah, spending money doesn't increase inflation. What are you, an idiot? Okay. Let's check the live news, and then I'll go back to
military bases or positions near here.
Dude, that channel is very intense with their what's going on.
Headlines around the world.
Are these news people? Are this guy in the bunker?
US, UK and the EU have all announced a raft of new sanctions, with Britain targeting all 386 Russian politicians who backed Vladimir Putin's invasion.
What do you guys think about the Russian sanctions? I think we're going too far. I mean, it's just you're scapegoating all Russian citizens as if they're a part of it.
For domestic consumption to rally the people behind what Russia refuses to call anything other than a special military operation. These soldiers made it back from the front. Others have not. But it's a criminal offense in Russia to report anything other than the official number, which was 498 on March the 2nd and has not been updated since. According to Mr. Shoigu, the operation is going to plan. In a meeting of the Security Council, he told Russia's president that there were 16,000 requests from so-called volunteers in the Middle East who wanted to help liberate, in his words, the people of Donbass. A claim quickly backed up by this video from Russia's Ministry of Defense of fighters chanting their support for the Syrian...
That's so crazy about the Syrians being in there.
Если вы видите, что есть люди, которые хотят на добровольной основе, тем более не за деньги, приехать и оказать помощь людям, проживающим на Донбассе, ну что же, надо пойти им навстречу и помочь им перебраться в зону боевых действий.
Vladimir Putin went on to meet his Belarusian counterpart, Alexander Lukashenko, a frequent visitor to the Kremlin these days, who declared that Russia had acted not a moment too soon.
Не мы развязали эту войну, у нас совесть чиста. Хорошо, что начали. Биологическое оружие, самые большие электростанции атомные.
The biological weapon station, the largest nuclear power stations, all of them are ready to explode.
As both leaders reassured the other that they'd weather the sanctions storm, the US imposed additional measures, removing Russia's most favored nation trading status, banning further imports and the export of luxury goods to Russia. Luxury here has already shut.
It's just so weird, banning like Prada and McDonald's. This channel is so intense. I love it.
The focus for the Russians right now is no longer the military bases. They are directly attacking civilians. This is a place where a bombing has actually taken place less than 12 hours ago. A house was actually standing here.
They're intense. Okay.
And when I was studying environmental science and looking at the data, I saw that the same communities were continuously being impacted by...
What up, Tiger Man? Is Putin too short to have a mini-me? Mini-me! Wait, was that... Oh.
violation.
All right, let's watch this. No, the duck... Okay, what? I don't know if you saw this today, but I saw this and it made me laugh. This guy, like, runs away from the cops and gets away and hides so well. Ready?
law enforcement, and this is one of those things. You know, law enforcement, they have to keep these people safe, and then you can see it right there. The suspect trying to get into somebody's property or still trying to hide, but doing a very, very poor job of it right there. LAPD coming to a stop. Oh, come on, guys, he's right there.
He's right there.
Officers running right by him. They're going right by him. Angie, our pilot today, talking on O2, trying to tell the officers that this suspect is right there. And again, you just saw that. Oh my goodness, I just feel so bad for those officers making their way back now. It's the blue car. There we go. Somebody's getting the information. Somebody's got to be getting the information. Keep coming around, Ange. Keep coming around. Keep coming around. That
He's just laying there.
Unbelievable. We're watching this live, and you have to understand that these officers, they don't know what the information that we know. But again, that LAPD helicopter just arriving. There you go. Some of those officers must be getting.
This is my favorite part. He looks underneath.
There you go. And now that suspect going in.
And yeah, he still doesn't see him.
Wow. And they haven't seen him yet.
Wait. Oh, there he is. God. So silly.
Oh my gosh. Sorry about that. It got a little tense there at the end.
It was tense indeed. If you could hear the newsroom exploding as we.
He's right there. He's literally so close. Okay. Trump is becoming like the next Alex Jones.
We have more oil than anybody, okay? And it's an incredible thing that it's happened
He's
over
like
the
predicting
last few
everything.
years, a lot of great things, and you're paying, what, $2 a gallon for your gasoline? That's okay. You know what that's like? That's like a tax cut. That's bigger than a tax cut. If Biden got in, you'd be paying $7, $8, $9. Then they say, get rid of your car. We have more oil than anybody.
Get rid of your car and buy electric. God, I hate when he's right. When he's not in power to help. Okay. All right. This is the most insane clip, but I'm going to say this. I want to see what's going on in the news first. I think I'm obsessed with this Indian news station.
Toxic waste sites and facilities in their neighborhoods. So I think the most urgent issue that we should be addressing is those environmental human rights and those basic human needs that everyone needs to live.
Yeah, that should be the most urgent issue, not what's going on in Ukraine.
You're doing and all of the resources that you're giving us to make the earth a better place. And to our viewers, you can buy the Intersectional Environmentalist, How to Dismantle Systems of Oppression to Protect People, plus the...
Ugh, bleh, what a waste of money. God.
And thanks to Lindsay for that. And still to come, combined.
Thanks to Lindsay for that.
Supreme Court nominee, what would it...
All right. Still obsessed with this.
And after the ban on Russian oil, Biden for the suspension of trade relations with Russia.
That Russian vodka is going to go up a pretty penny if you're not paying attention. Okay. This clip from Biden today. This clip from Biden today pretty much sums up how he views you. So listen to his words very carefully.
Never forget what we've accomplished together so far. And by the way, the American people just trying to stay above water don't understand this. You tell them what the American Recovery Act was, they look at you like, what are you talking about? Never
Listen to it one more time.
accomplished together so far. And by the way, the American people just trying to stay above water don't understand this. You tell them what the American Recovery Act was, they look at you like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, if you're just trying to stay above water, you don't understand what's going on because you're too stupid to read. You don't get it. You need our help. You need the media, the corporate media. You need politicians to tell you how to think and how to feel. You can't look up this information for yourself. We're being pushed more and more. Oh, you're so poor. You're helpless. You need our help. We're here. The adults are back in charge. I'm sick of this kind of rhetoric. I'm sick of hearing people like him talk down to people like you and me. Oh, you don't have enough money? That means you're dumb. Just go buy electric. What's the problem? Stephen Colbert comes out and says, I'll pay $15 a gallon. I don't care. I drive a Tesla. Again, listen to it one more time so you remember at the polls in 2024, please God.
And by the way, the American people just trying to stay above water don't understand this. You tell them what the American Recovery Act was, they look at you like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, what are you talking about? These people are trying to stay above water? These dumb, white trash Trump supporters? Is that what you're referring to? Because I'm curious who you're talking about. I don't know. That kind of rhetoric really makes me angry. Speaking of making me angry. You know, Kamala Harris being sent over to speak for the Biden administration, to speak for all of us as Americans and what's going on in Ukraine has been absolutely disastrous. And here's a clip from today, just continuing to prove the point that Kamala Harris is much like a child getting ready to do a book report that never read the book, but has all the power in the classroom to change the entire direction of what goes on in the entire school. Hashtag metaphor life. But listen to this response from Kamala Harris. I think she's a perfect example of someone not being qualified for the job, but being given it because of you fill in the blank.
If I can ask you, Madam Vice President,
100% Tiger
Biden
Man.
has said that Americans will feel some pain for the sake of defending freedom and liberty, but there does seem to be no end game in sight. How long should Americans expect? How long should we be bracing for this really sort of historic inflation and some unprecedented gas prices?
So, the question was to her specifically. How long should Americans be feeling the pressure of inflation and gas prices? Watch her response immediately. The question was for her. She looks to him. Oh, do you have an answer? Oh, wait, that question's for me. I guess I'll take it.
Sure.
Oh, he's like, why do you want me to talk for you? I'm not the American vice president. That question was specifically given to you because it specifically deals with American citizens. But again, the question was about gas prices, inflation, and pressure that you and I feel, or as Joe Biden says, too poor to stay afloat. You obviously don't understand what's going on. But again, here's her response.
Sure. In terms of the discussions that the President, Johannes, and I had, they ranged in subject, including the issue of the Black Sea, and I'll let him explain in more detail as he would like. But we are, again, fully aware and apprised, because we are in constant communication with the President, with his administration here, about the concerns.
Well, I mean, seriously, what does this have to do with it?
Sure.
I think you need to hear it one more time.
In terms of the discussions that the President, Johannes, and I had, they ranged in subject, including the issue of the Black Sea, and I'll let him explain in more detail as he would like. But we are, again, fully aware and apprised, because we are in constant communication with the President, with his administration here, about the concerns that they have about the entire region and, frankly, the vulnerability.
The entire region, the vulnerability. What does this have to do with gas prices and inflation back in America? Has nothing to do with it, but I'll continue for 2 more seconds.
All you have to do is look at the map.
Just look at the map. And again, that was the answer. But here's the question again. I want you to hear the question one more time, because I think I can't emphasize it enough how big of a joke this person is. I just can't take her seriously as a human being.
If I can ask you, Matt.
It's almost like the same times when Joe Biden has his gaffes, and it's clearly he doesn't know what he's talking about, or accident, like what I just did, but at least I acknowledge it. See, that's the difference between me and Joe Biden, is when I say something stupid, I'll try to immediately acknowledge it because I'm not out of my mind.
Madam Vice President.
Hey, Tiger Man, let your dog out.
President Biden has said that Americans will feel some pain for the sake of defending freedom and liberty, but there does seem to be no end game in sight. How long should Americans expect? How long should we be bracing for this really sort of historic inflation?
See, this question has nothing to do with her response. Again, she's a child with a book that she never read that is being forced to give in a book report. I think she is being given the task of going to Poland to give in these discussions because Biden isn't physically healthy enough to make the trip, or they assume that he is not able to do this because this is such an embarrassment. Her laughing at the podium the other day when the question was given about refugees and what to do with refugees and will America take refugees, and then she immediately laughs. It's the most embarrassing thing on the world stage. Again, America's image continues to go down the tubes, especially in foreign lands. It's just obnoxious. I can't do it anymore. I can't even give her the benefit of the doubt. I don't understand why the Democrats continue to choose people who are clearly not fit for the job mentally because of an emotional plea. Politicians just don't answer questions. That DEFCON, that's not even not answering a question. That's just like literally not listening to the question, not hearing the question. She's not prepared enough to give answers to a lot of these questions that she's given. I've been speechless watching her talk. I knew she was bad, and I knew she wasn't like gifted enough as a speaker to be given this kind of platform. But the fact that she can't even listen to a simple question about inflation or gas prices. She could have just lied. She could have came out and started talking about Trump. She could have came out and started talking about Putin. She could have said something about COVID or inflation or supply chain issues. She could have come out and said all kinds of different lies that politicians do all the time, and maybe some of that is true. But she doesn't even answer the question. And this is who is representing you and me. But, those tweets and some of that vulgar language was worth it, not voting him back in, I guess. Right, Democrats? I don't get it. I don't understand Democrats. It's just like you could have chosen any one of those other candidates who can speak in a fluent sentence, and you chose these two. I think it just sums up your party as a whole. It's unbelievable. It's just, I just can't with some of these people. Oh, by the way, Bolivian soldier who killed Che Guevara dies at 80. Shout out. Okay. And Nancy Pelosi today. But you're right, DEFCON, though. It's just like they don't answer questions because they want to spin the narrative. They want to spin it to not make them look bad, as Joe Biden always said in his tweet that I talked about on Wednesday of him saying, I'm going to do whatever it takes to be held accountable. And if something's my fault, I'll say it's my fault. And yet this whole administration constantly pushes the blame to other people. But here's Nancy Pelosi. Do what Nancy Pelosi thinks.
Again, this was a remarkable few days because it was for the people, but it was Slava Ukraine. It was about Ukraine.
What the frick? Please help me understand. Slava Ukraine.
This was a remarkable few days because it was for the people.
She is a gem.
It was Slava Ukraine. It was about
Slava Ukraine.
Ukraine. It was Slava Ukraine. Slava Ukraine. It was about Ukraine.
It's that Ukraine, dude. I I don't understand how anybody takes any of these people seriously. Like, I have friends that think these people are so great. Like, Nancy Pelosi is so great. And it's clearly because they don't ever watch any news or read any news sources. But when I hear her talk, I'm just like, do you think it's her teeth coming out, or do you think it's the substance?
Slava Ukraine. It was about Ukraine.
There you go, DEFCON. Slava Ukraine. Ukraine.
It just, Mike McFaul, others here have talked.
Jeez. And this is one of my favorite clips from Biden today, where he picks up a piece of paper and starts reading it like that gives you authority.
We blame Biden for rising gas prices, and it goes on to explain why gas prices are so high. Washington Post op-ed by Dana Milbank. Opinion: Biden heeded Republicans' plea to ban Russian oil. They pounced. And it goes on to talk about why it's gone. Don't let anybody tell you anything you did supporting the idea that we block Russian oil coming into the country.
We block it.
Which is going, and I said at the time, prices are going to go up for gasoline. It wasn't anything we did. And by the way,
yeah, it's not like day one in the office that prices actually went up, but you're right.
We're in a situation right now where if you take a look, the idea, can we pump more oil? There are now there are 172 gas and oil rigs.
Again, Democrats, you could have picked any other candidate, but you chose this guy. You chose this guy. Oh, God help us.
Running. Now there are 519 in operation before this all began. But guess what? They have over 7,000 permits to dig oil if they want. Why aren't they out pumping oil?
Yeah, why aren't they out pumping oil? It's like, you give the guy a permit for my backyard, and even if there's no oil, just go pump it, dude. I love these politicians that are just like, they come out and they say these things like, we're going to build more chips, we're going to do all this stuff, but then they don't actually have to like get their hands dirty or actually do any of the work. They just say, we need to do this, and oh, why aren't you doing this? And then people are like, have you ever worked in the private sector in your entire life? Do you know how like business works? And Joe Biden says, no, I've been a career politician my whole life. I don't understand what an HR department is or paying bills. People just do this for me. And then I get my son, Hunter Biden, on a board.
Why aren't they out pumping oil?
Yeah, why aren't they out pumping oil, Biden?
Because they've said, and they're very clear, Wall Street bankers have made it very clear. Not a joke.
Yeah, Wall Street bankers. Now that's a group of people I trust. God, jeez. Imagine using Wall Street bankers as an authoritative source. God, jeez. Maybe we should bail out these oil companies. That's what the free market does, right?
Check it out. I recommend these two articles to you, just as a little bit of a primer. You probably already know it.
Yeah. I love that he didn't even say like what the source was. He just read them, and he gave.
What's happened? Well, the oil companies and the executives, they don't want to pump more oil, although they have every capacity to do so. Nothing is slowing them up from doing it if they want to. Why? Rather than spend the profits in the increased price of gasoline.
You mean you talk crap to them for years on end, and on day one you start screwing up their profit motive, and now you're begging them to change their mind? Yeah, you had nothing to do with the gas prices.
They would rather take those profits and buy back stock, buy back their own stock, rather than take that money and invest it in pumping new oil. Not a joke. Not a joke. So don't tell me gas prices rose because I've slowed down the American energy production.
Yeah, you haven't done anything to slow down the American energy production. That's all fake news. God. Imagine believing that. Okay, here we go. DEFCON. Here's another politician at its finest. Nancy Pelosi, the gem.
Let's get back to the question, the larger issue about Putin's tax. That's really Putin's gas hike. That's his gas hike. This so much of this increase in the
How much oil did we buy from Russia? And percentage-wise, yeah, it's Putin's fault.
gas tax, gas price started weeks leading up to what happened there. This
I can't comprehend anything this woman says. I'm gonna try to listen to it one more time.
Let's get back to the question, the larger issue about Putin's tax. That's really Putin's gas hike. That's his gas hike. This so much of this increase in the gas tax, gas price started weeks leading up to what happened there.
we need to have a side-by-side comparison of Nancy Pelosi and Joe Biden giving speeches. God, it's such an S show. It's just so bad. I just can't do it anymore. All right. I'm done with myself and some of my clips. Let's check on what's going on in some of the news. Nancy, I love it. I love this Indian news company. Look how stretched out this freaking shot is. They just stretch her out so much.
The President, Johannes, and I talked extensively, and I was very moved, Mr. President, by the stories you shared with me of the time you spent with refugees.
Oh, she's so fake. I'm deeply, profoundly impacted by the way you use your words. And when I look around,
in ensuring that we will do all that is required to put resources into the humanitarian piece of this.
Harris also thanked Romania, a Balkan country of 19 million residents, for welcoming tens of thousands of
This music is so intense.
35-year-old Hinda Stockstill could barely walk.
Okay, COVID long haulers.
Set back as more and more Western shops.
DEFCON, what do you think about the whole 330 companies suspending operations in Russia, just crippling everyday Russians?
McDonald's in the exodus. Vladimir Putin shrugging off the financial impact yet again today, saying Russia will adapt.
Russia should just take over these businesses and just do exactly what they're already doing, but just give them a different name. Instead of McDonald's, you'll have Mickey D's. I don't know.
The former Soviet Union, but there are many young people here who never lived through it, and they're desperately scared of what its return might mean. David.
Another week of reporting from James Longman in Moscow. James, thank you. Back here at home tonight into that major winter storm on the move this evening from Texas.
I don't want to talk about winter storms. I'm curious about... I don't know if you guys saw this, but I didn't see this whole DuckDuckGo thing. I feel like DuckDuckGo really let me down. I just feel like it's just one company after another just bends the knee. It's almost like how much pressure are they facing to do stuff like this?
So we have seen repeatedly...
I don't know, man. I really don't trust the mainstream narrative. I'm not saying Russia is good, but Ukraine government doesn't... Ukraine government isn't clean whatsoever. The fact that Hunter Biden was on the board he was in our government, and how their kids are all working for Ukraine, and then we have potential bioweapon labs. There's so much going on in Ukraine. The idea that they're this clean white cloth and so beautiful and should be cherished is just so silly. And the fact that Russia and them have been fighting for so long, it's not like they make it seem like this came out of nowhere or something.
Crises used to crack down on civil liberties in this country. Maybe that's the whole point of a crisis, is to crack down on our freedoms here.
Certainly seems like it. Every time there's a wartime scenario, we need to take away your rights and freedoms. I wonder if Russia and China team up and make their currency. It seems like Russia and China are essentially doing that. I saw that Russia is putting their money in the Chinese bank system, aren't they? And why wouldn't they? Why would they keep using American money, buying our debt. I mean, I feel like it's only a matter of time before, the worst happens with our currency. I don't really know what to think about the whole, speaking of our currency, the Federal Reserve or whatever making an electric money like a cryptocurrency, like an electric coin. And so I know it's a lot of like that ESG talk, that social credit score and stuff like that, as far as it'll be easier to track people and companies that all join in part of it and be a part of it and get rid of like the actual dollars, because then they can't track you in it, and that's why the companies always push for credit cards and stuff like that, because it's easily trackable, so you can't lie to the government and you can no longer go to like flea markets and stuff like that. You have to use your electronic cash. It's just so weird. Yeah, the sanctions on Russia fast tracks that I feel like, the whole like sanctions on Russia, it's like we're in World War III economically, but we're pretending like we're not in World War III. It's so weird. This isn't... I just hate politics so much. It's hard to A, trust what's going on, and B, understand the motives. Besides, like, they're just scared to like go full in, and I'd rather them not go full in at all. Don't get me wrong, but it's like you're inching us towards war. I don't know if that's worse than just like going for it now. Like I don't want any of that, but it's so weird to me. And it just makes me angry because it just hurts you and me, and it hurts the everyday Russian citizen who do nothing. And there's great people over there. There's beautiful people, beautiful art, beautiful trading that should happen. We're all supposed to be in under one world and, woke and everything's good. But everyone's so welcoming about canceling, getting rid of Russian people. It's like we're going to get rid of Russian vodka. Like that's going to make some kind of huge difference for Putin. That hurts the everyday Russian. It doesn't hurt Putin. I don't get it. I don't get it. It's so weird to me.
Cracking down on Russian disinformation has been used by all kinds of people, particularly big tech, to censor speech. Now, even the search engine DuckDuckGo, which you may use because they promised you that they would not use algorithms to suppress your speech or track your searches online, has joined the herd. DuckDuckGo's CEO is promising that the search engine will downrank sites that are, quote, associated with Russian disinformation.
So dumb.
Okay. In other words, saying things the Biden administration doesn't like. YouTube has just removed an episode of the Full Send podcast featuring Donald Trump. It got 5 million views in 24 hours, but they couldn't handle it.
I hate all these companies that are just for censorship, for getting rid of people, for getting rid of ideas, for getting rid of thought, and you and I having a discussion as normal human beings. I never once would ever say that I'm an authoritative source or something that you should take so seriously that you should hang on every single one of my words. I'm not that person. I don't think anyone should be that person. Not even Tucker Carlson, not, Samantha Guthrie or whatever podcast or people you like. You should never hang on people's words. You should always fact check them and find out for yourself, and also be open to being wrong. I hate that there's like this authoritarianistic push of the state dictating information into your life, and everyone's just like, okay, that makes sense. They're looking out for my safety. And at the same time, they're dealing with the same thing on the Russian side, where the Russian state media controls all the narrative and controls all the speech, and they're like, these people aren't getting the factual news. I'm like, so you support censorship, but you don't support censorship? What? Like, it's just, I don't know. Thanks for the money. I appreciate it, whoever someone is. Sorry if that freaked you out, that music, but I play sexy music whenever someone throws money at my way. And again, if you want to support me, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/Derek O'Shea. Super chats right there. Thank you to someone. I appreciate whoever someone is. Okay. We'll check on the news.
They're medical students who shall. from Russian shelling of a Ukrainian city.
I also don't like... I don't like how everyone's so okay with getting rid of like Russian stuff. You know, corporations, canceling people out of Russian civilization, all that stuff. Because if you think like people are clapping this like, oh, they're just going after like Russians right now. If you think that it'll not eventually turn to you, you got another thing coming, because you're going to eventually not agree with the state about something, and the state's going to go, well, you can no longer access your funds because we deem you as unsafe or spreading misinformation. And I think that's what I'm most scared about, is how many people are just clapping all this stuff. Like they think it's like a good thing or something. It doesn't make any sense to me. 100% same concept with the Canadian. Yeah, with the Canadian truckers. Exactly. Like I couldn't. All these leftists. Like I get you're a leftist and you're for the state. You're for state authority and state power. But I don't know. I'm for freedom. Call me crazy. But all these people, even old school liberals, are clapping it. I just can't. I don't understand some of these old school liberals who are just totally okay with censorship, totally okay with getting rid of people's bank accounts because they have a different political opinion or medical opinion, or they don't want to put something in their body necessarily. Like I thought it was like my body, my choice. And everyone has like these double standards in political parties. You expect that. You expect double standards with politicians, right? Because they're going to lie to you. They're going to change their message always. They just want to always look good no matter what. They're never going to come out and say, what I did was wrong, or I should change my thought process on this. They're always going to lie and change their narrative in order to make themselves look good. And they'll point to the other person saying, look what you made me do. But I don't understand why so many of these leftists are clapping some of this stuff, because they think that it's not going to affect them one day. Yeah, you might be pro-vax. You might be pro-COVID vaccine. You might be pro-LGBTQ rights or something like that. But what if the power changes, right? What if not your guys in power and they have all that power and they decide, you know what, after everything you've done to me, we're going to do it back to you. Good luck. Defcon says, good luck to those people with the bet that you always agree with the government. Exactly. You're never always going to agree with the government. They're always going to change. People are going to change. The narrative's going to change. They'll get more aggressive, especially with their freedoms. They always want to take the freedoms away, because when they take the freedoms away, then they have more power. And the more power they have, the more secure they are in their position, so they can do whatever they want. And people just clap this stuff like it's a good thing. Get those anti-vaxxers. Get those idiots who are honking and making my life a living hell. Instead of pointing the finger at the government. We live in such a weird time. Weird time of people that I feel like don't understand history. Don't understand what communism does, socialism does, what it eventually looks like. They don't want to look at countries like Venezuela. That country's doing it wrong. I know those citizens are starving to death. We should go get oil from them, though. They're good people. Well, they have oil, and it might be cleaner, morally, it feels like, than Russia at the moment, because Russia is bad and Venezuela is okay. We don't have to talk about it. It's not the mainstream narrative at the moment. Or we'll go to Iran. No big deal. It's not like they push gays off buildings. I don't get it, man. I know we're getting more and more divided as a country, and there's more people on different sides of the spectrum. But I've always been for freedom. I don't care what you believe or what you think is right. If you want to take 1 million COVID vaccines, take it. But to tell me what to do is another thing. To dictate how I live, to dictate how my kids live. Not that I have any kids at the moment, but if I did have kids, to dictate how they live, what they're taught, what they're to believe. I'm not supposed to have an opinion. I'm not supposed to have an idea of how I want to live. I just need to just listen to what the church, the pastor, aka Joe Biden, has to say, and I just follow his command no matter what. They're the moral authority of the land, and as opposed to me having my own consciousness, me having my own thoughts. That's a problem for me. I think that's why you're seeing a lot more conservatives, especially, lean more towards this anarchy idea. Get white pilled. Show my black flag. Because they don't trust, like me, I don't trust the government. I don't trust, the more I feel like I'll just vote this person in because they'll change things. They'll give me more freedoms back. They'll leave me alone. It doesn't seem to be that case. And then we have people on extremes. Then we have our neocons, neolibs. I just feel like A and B is never the answer I want. I want C. I want freedom. I want you to leave me alone. I want to be able to choose and do whatever I want to do with my money, do whatever I want with my body, do whatever, teach my kids however I want to teach them. Let them grow up and live the way that they want to live. I want to grow up and live how I want to live. I want to be able to buy a house. I'm sick of like government overreach into corporations, into policies. They make my life worse, and they pretend like they're better. I put more faith into myself crawling out from a hole than a government putting their hand down to me and saying, "Here you go, Derek. Here's a hand. I'll help you up this time, but you got to give me something in return." DEFCON says the more division, the easier to control and manipulate the masses. Exactly. That's why they constantly want to divide us. That's why they constantly want to put us in different camps. That's why they want to say they call you an anti-vaxxer or call you pro-Putin when you're not that at all. Anti-vax, that's so silly. Yeah, DEFCON says also Democrat and Republican is just illusion of choice. Exactly. Of course, because they're going to say one thing to get into power, and then the minute they're in power, they'll change their message. And then you're in a position where you're either Republican or Democrat, and you go, well, I got to keep still voting for someone like a Lindsey Graham because I don't want that Democrat guy going in because he's absolutely insane. So I guess I'll just settle for this piece of crap, essentially. And maybe it's on the other side. And so you just, like, you're a Democrat and you hate everything that's going on in the Democratic Party in your state. You feel like they don't speak for you. So you keep voting in the same crap because you're scared of whatever Republican is coming in that totally disagrees with everything you believe in. And so you and I are just stuck. And then the media and politicians wonder why you and I are getting more annoyed with each other. Because we feel stuck. We feel flustered. We feel agitated. We feel we have higher anxiety. We're annoyed. We feel like we don't have a voice. We feel like we don't have a choice. And that's the problem. I don't know what the solution is. But I do know there's a problem. And it seems like anarchy, national divorce, is an idea that might work. But people are afraid of it. People see it as, oh, that means civil war. It doesn't necessarily, not everything's war. I know everyone assumes war no matter what. But a lot of us feel like we're in a rock and a hard place, you know? But that's it for my stream. Appreciate you guys coming on. DEFCON, appreciate you for in the comments coming in clutch at the end. Sorry about my rant the last 10 minutes. It kind of came out of nowhere. It kind of just hit me. Just get so sick of everything that's going on. I'm going to have some videos coming out a little later tomorrow and Sunday. Some more comedy stuff especially. I got a really funny idea I'm cooking up, so I hope you enjoy it. DEFCON says they are pushing the global agenda. Klaus Schwab, the Great Reset, digital identity. Yeah, I know. You're on point, bro. Dude, I appreciate you for saying that. It means a lot to me. You have a good one, too. Again, I'm going to have some stuff coming out a little later. maybe go live, but definitely have some more comedy coming out because I'm getting to the point where my bubble's about to pop and I got to make fun of this stuff a little harder. I got to go harder on them. So hope you have a good night. Appreciate you guys so much. Have a wonderful night. Enjoy your Friday. Enjoy your weekend if I don't see you. And again, I'll be live again Monday, 9 p.m. Eastern to 11 p.m. Eastern. And I'm going to end with a break, and then I'm going to go. So check out this stupid commercial I put together. Bye.
My fellow Americhans, it's me, Joe Byron. Make sure to support Derek O'Shea by going to buymeacoffee.com/Derek O'Shea. Easily one of my least favorite YouTubers of all time. And all you have to do is go down here, buy him a coffee, support his show, or even join as a member. $3 a month, that's all it costs. And you could be a big-time supporter of his show. He's a good guy, but he's a piece of crap, and I hate him for that. I hope you have a great day, and as always, let's go get ice cream, and I need to get my sniff on.